Bob Diamond quits. What now for Barclays and the others? Let's dig a little bit deeper into the story with Reuters Breakingviews' Robert Cole, get his take. Let's try this again, Robert. Yesterday, you said Marcus Aegis' resignation bought Bob Diamond some time. It didn't. You said the LIBOR scandal doesn't merit the resignation of the CEO. It has. And I'd like to say that this requires now a wholesale clear out at the top of investment banks, and you don't believe that.
Thanks very much for quoting back and actually misquoting back. I said what it did is it may have bought Bob Diamond some time. Actually, what it seems to have done is speeded up a process which was probably inevitable, and that actually we can now see that the buck may have stopped with Aegis, but for about 5 minutes. And what I said yesterday also was that I think the real story, yesterday's real story was that Aegis wasn't going because of the LIBOR fine. He was going because shareholders and perhaps regulators were worried that he was a weak chairman and wasn't capable of standing up to Diamond. Now, how has it happened? I think that Aegis is going, as it were, cleared the way for much more frontal attacks, and much which did happen more rapidly than I thought, on Bob Diamond.
Why is Bob Diamond gone? What prompted this about turn today, do you think?
That's a very, very good question, and I don't know.
Perhaps it was the realisation that this LIBOR issue did indeed warrant his resignation.
I don't. Well, clearly,
and the effect that's had on the public, etc., etc.
Clearly, that is a very, very important fact, maybe the most important fact. But we said last week in a very prescient piece by Peter Farr-Larsen that Bob Diamond should step down, but not because of the LIBOR incidents alone, but because there was a confluence of 3 or 4 very significant things, and that meant that Bob Diamond had a very difficult, if not impossible, job to do at the top. So I'm not saying that I had absolute foresight yesterday, but I think you're being a little bit unfair in trying to characterise my views in the way you did.
The story's moved on, and let's look at 2 pieces that Breakingviews are doing today. One is, OK, what happens now? Do you go for someone in investment banking, or do you go to someone from the retail side? What is Breakingviews saying?
Well, I think what we're saying is that Barclays does find itself as a crossroads here, and I think for the first time it seems that there is, you can see Barclays board sitting down and saying, well, we're not just replacing the top 2 people here. What we're doing is making a decision about the very quite long-term fundamental strategy. And it could be said that if they make a certain kind of appointment, maybe someone with clear investment banking experience, that its current model with an investment bank and a retail bank is the one that they want to persist with, despite the difficulties that they've encountered and the criticisms that have come elsewhere. But it also seems to us that if there was a retail banker perhaps appointed, it is possible that might suggest a strategy shift, which means that actually little by little, or even perhaps quickly by quickly, the investment bank and the retail bank are separated, perhaps even put into separate institutions. The investment bank will be a global investment banking brand. Barclays will be a retail and perhaps a commercial bank for the UK alone.
Quick word on this other piece, the Hugo Dixon's piece, and what this could potentially reveal about links that our 2 main political parties have. Conservatives, as Hugo says, because they're close ties with the City, and Labour because they were in power when this rigging was supposed to have taken place.
Well, this is just really a view which expresses an explanation for why there seems to be such confusion about what the nature of this inquiry will be, and that all the political parties seem to be taking lumps out of each other, and the fear is, we assume among the politicians, that the Leveson inquiry into journalistic ethics started as an inquiry into alleged bad behaviour by journalists, but it very quickly expanded into an examination of the relationship between the media and the Westminster politicians. And we're just saying, look, perhaps the politicians are worried, and quite rightly worried, that a big all-encompassing inquiry might very soon subsume the politicians into the fuss, into the scandal about bankers.
Okay.
And perhaps that explains why we've got such little clarity on what ought to have been a relatively straightforward decision.
You can see both those pieces on the Breakingviews website and, of course, on the Reuters wire. That's it for now. My thanks to Robert. For more agenda-setting insight, watch our US Breakingviews show every day, 12:30 Eastern, 17:30 BST. I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.